There's many ways to assess this, but like you could get a blood panel done to see exactly what you're intolerant to. Not everyone that has a food intolerance necessarily throws up or gets sick like someone with a lactose intolerance. When they do food tolerance panels, they grade it on a scale of 0 to 5. A 0 means you eat the food and your body has no negative response to the food. A level 5 would mean you eat the food and you immediately throw up, go to the bathroom, have diarrhea, irritable bowel, all that. The problem is many people have a low level, like 0, 1, 2, 3, or 1 through 3. At level 4, you start to know the symptoms, but at low level, 0, 1, 2, 3, food intolerance. What that means is they eat a certain food, they don't feel that bad, but the body perceives it as something that it needs to fight off, and that increases cortisol. And so one of the ways that I like to do is a simple food journal. Once you eat a meal or you eat a food, you wait an hour, and then you rate how you feel and how you look, okay? So for example, with myself, if I eat a cup of blueberries, an hour later, I feel energetic. I actually look visibly leaner in the mirror, and tons of energy, clear mental state. So I know blueberries for me are good to go. They're a good food for me to have. If I eat brown rice, on the other hand, brown rice is a healthy food, okay, by most people's standards. But for me, if I eat brown rice, an hour later, I feel bloated, lethargic, not very good energy. I look worse in the mirror. I look like I've got a little bit of puffiness in my abdomen. So that's how I know for me brown rice is not a good food. And I suggest people do that with every food that they eat to try to, and just start being more aware of
Sure.
how you react in order to make sure that you're not producing cortisol to the food you eat.
That's fantastic. It's so important. We all are looking for someone else to tell us what to do. But it's really our bodies are telling us all day long. You know, I had a food sensitivity I didn't know about until I did a little detox and then introduced stuff one at a time, and it was black beans, like you said, brown rice. You know, black bean. Everybody knows black beans are good for you or whatnot. But
Right.
and you know, what's interesting is that pinto beans didn't give me the same grief. It was black beans specifically. So
Well, that's why, for me, white rice, which is typically demonized,
right.
I'm going to go with white rice. I can eat that, and I get leaner. I look good. I feel good. I've got energy. But for whatever reason, brown rice just doesn't do it for me.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to kind of cover some myths, myself. Just jump in there and get your take on them, Ryan, before we take off today. I'm a huge fan of movement and movement progressions. And so many people really think it's just about, volume or about intensity. And I'm like, ain't nothing working without movement first. What's your take on that?
You know what? I would agree in some extent, but I also think the answer's somewhere in the middle. Okay,
Right.
so here's my point. You're going to have someone that goes into the gym every single Monday, which is International Bench Press Day. They're going to do a barbell bench press every Monday, and as long as they program their variables right, in 5-10 years' time, they will have made progress the whole time in their muscle mass, things like that.
Sure.
So you have that. But the problem is, by doing the exact same motor pattern over and over and over without a break, you end up with adhesions in the soft tissue, which is basically where the tissue sticks together and could create shoulder problems or a pec tear or a vast number of problems. And you also don't get complete development of the shoulder girdle of the pecs. And so while, yeah, you can get by without a ton of progression, I am a huge fan. I always, whenever I write a program for someone from phase 1 till the very end, there is a progression in load and intensity as well as in the movement. Okay, so I like, there's different ways to progress. For upper body movement, for example, you could, in a bench press, you could increase the weight on the bar, you could increase the number of sets, increase the number of reps, decrease the rest period. Or you could do a push-up series where you start with a very, very basic push-up and then progress to a very, very advanced push-up using the same intensity, which is your body weight, and a similar volume, but you're progressing. So let's take 3 sets of 10. You could keep 3 sets of 10 on a push-up for a nearly endless period of time as long as you're constantly making the push-up variation harder.
Sure.
Right? Someone who hasn't trained may start with a hands elevated push-up where their feet are on the ground and their hands are on a wall. And over time, through a series, that then becomes hands on the ground, feet on the ground, then feet elevated, then hands in rings, then planche push-up, handstand push-up, etc.
It's pretty endless.
Yeah, same 3 sets of 10 with the same load, your body weight, you're progressing still in your strength and performance. So I think you can get by both ways, you know, but I do, for me personally, I think movement progression is huge.
Yeah. So I'd love to kind of expand on that a little bit further because I feel like too many people don't understand that you have to do different things. Like you were saying, you can do bench press all the time, you can do squat all the time, you can do deadlift all the time, and then that makes you a power lifter and you can get big and strong and jacked and everything. Yep. But ultimately you can't, you know, maybe you can't scratch your nose anymore, or you can't, you know, you can't wipe your own butt anymore, right? So I'm just like a huge fan of really, like, some people say body weight training is the best, some people say weight training is the best. I'm a huge fan of everything. What's your take on kind of integrating everything, learning how to move your body, learning how to move external objects, that sort of stuff?
You know, I think it's very much specific to the person at hand. So
sure,
if you're a competitive power lifter, while handstand push-ups are great, I don't know that
it's not going to help you.
You know what I mean? Like, handstand push-ups may have a place in a program far away from a competition, but if you're doing max reps and handstand push-ups the week before your competition, you screwed up your powerlifting meet, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the person at hand. For athletes, I always like to have a mixture of both external resistance as well as body weight, because at the end of the day, as an athlete, you're going to have to, you might fall on the ground and have to get up in a weird position. You may have to move against an external object like a lineman if you're a football player and be in a different position. So I think mixing them is going to give you the optimal development. And the way I look at it too, it's like, why would you, and this is the analogy that I use. We have a lot of people in this industry who would make a statement like, I will only use a screwdriver for every home improvement need, right? It's like, no, you know, it's the right tool for the right job, right? I would love to see someone try to weld something with a screwdriver. You can't do it, right? You need welding tools. And so in the same fashion, if you're training a gymnast, you can't do it just by bench pressing alone. And conversely, if you're a power lifter, you can't do it by doing ring push-ups alone.
Right.
You need to use the right tool for the right job. And so that's why I think it's very specific, and it depends on the population that you're looking at. And why would you want to limit your toolbox, right? If you look in guys' garages, or actually ask any wife in America if her husband has enough tools. And she's going to say that he thinks he does, that he thinks he needs more. But you know what I mean? Like, no guy's confident or happy enough with the amount of tools they have in their toolboxes, right? So why would we be satisfied with limiting ourselves in strength and conditioning tools as well, you know?
That's totally true, man. I got started as a bodyweight guy, and then I got bit by the kettlebell bug, and then everybody was, oh, kettlebells are the end-all, be-all of everything. And it's a great tool, but it's not the end-all, be-all of everything. So that's fantastic. So, I mean, I guess to tie it all together with this stuff, how does one know what to do? I know that someone like yourself who's very knowledgeable is going to program very specifically to each person. And that's something that is kind of missing from the industry. But how can somebody at home take the information we talked about, some of these fat, you know, debunking myths, these hormones, the jogging thing, how can we tie it all together and give them something that they can use?
Well, you know what? I think just for general guidelines, if you're looking to just be lean, be healthy, you should sprint no fewer than 2 times per week. Have one short sprint day and one longer sprint day. So by short sprints, I mean in the 50 to 100 meter range, and long sprints, the 200 to 600 meter range.
Can I pause you for a second? Just because I'm gonna jump in because I do sprints. Do you change the length based on the hill? So I have a big hill that I do. And so like a 100-meter sprint on that hill is way harder and longer than a 100-meter sprint on a track.
Sure, yes.
You know
if there's a hill involved, I would, if it's a substantial hill, I would change my recommendations to 1/4. So that 100 meters becomes, 25 meters.
Okay.
And the 400 meters becomes 100 meters. So
see, I'm being selfish on the podcast, trying to get my information. What's Ryan going to teach me?
Yeah, I think you need to sprint 2 times per week.
Okay, go for it.
And you need to lift weights with compound movements 3 times per week, at least. Now, it's obviously going to vary depending on the person. So if you're a bodybuilder, you're probably going to split the body up more into body parts, and you may weight train more times per week. If you are a general fitness enthusiast or a fat loss is your main goal, you're more likely going to do total body workout sessions. And then you should eat high protein diet with plenty of healthy fats, plenty of vegetables, and then good carbohydrates after your workout. So things like, for me, it's white rice and blueberries. For you, it might be pinto beans and brown rice. It's going to depend, and save that for after the workout session, because after a workout, insulin is your friend. So you want insulin to help jumpstart recovery. And that's just a basic, just
Simple.
a quick and dirty recommendation for how to get lean.
So where do I put the jogging and the high carbohydrate diet?
Okay. You can put those in the garbage can. No, in all seriousness, if someone is very, very lean, okay, so I'm talking under 5% body fat, and they want to put on muscle mass, a high carbohydrate diet has its place.
Right.
Simultaneously, if you are either just getting started out in a workout program, let's say you're over 30% body fat, or maybe you're over the age of 60 and you've never been in a gym before, then some low intensity aerobic exercise like taking a walk or doing a stationary bike would be beneficial. But the rest of the people, they need to sprint, they need to do more anaerobic type activities.
Man, that's fantastic. So Ryan, you just got a new program you're releasing. What's it called again?
It's called the Fat Loss Solution.
Fat Loss Solution. So it's the solution to fat. I'm sure that a lot of what we talked about right here is in that program. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I didn't want to leave anything out for people. I want people to understand what the manuals entail. What's cool is that I've got it tailored to individual populations. So I've got workouts in there for someone who's never been to a gym before or may not have confidence to do a lot of weight training.
Sure.
And I also have my most hardcore program is the Advanced Athletic Fat Loss Program. It entails 2 times per day training with lots of sprinting, heavy barbell lifts, and it's a very, very rapid way to get lean. I've actually got a couple people now internationally that are on it, including some unnamed Olympic swimmers that are doing it to get shredded. So, and it's got a ton of, it's got different nutrition programs as well. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's kind of an all-encompassing manual. So if you're interested and you want to hear more about the things I talked about today, feel free to check it out.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'll put a link below the show. Ryan Faehnle, right?
Yes, you got it.
Got it. Awesome, man. That was a fantastic call. I really appreciate you sharing your wealth of knowledge, and I really enjoy having guys like you on here who really know their stuff and practice what they preach, have great success with other people. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot, man. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on your show.